So here are some fantasy series with absolute banger first books, because I know when you read a fantasy series, if the first book isn't amazing, or if someone says, I'll just get through the first couple of books, it puts you off so much. The first one is Assassin's Apprentice from the Farseer Trilogy by Robin Hobb from the realm of the Elderlings. Your main character you get introduced to is called Fitz, and you feel a certain kind of way about him. You feel sorry for him. He's designed to make you feel sympathy, but then he starts annoying you a little bit with his decisions, but you are rooting for him because you're like, come on, dude, please, just common sense, just do something. And I'm not saying that's because bad writing. I'm saying it's actually because it's really good writing, because I haven't found a fantasy character that makes me feel the way that Fitz feels in this series. It's also fairly short. It is only about 350 pages. So if you are new to flowery writing, which Robin Hobb's writing is very character driven and very flowery, you don't have to sit through hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pages just to get through the first book. The next book I have is The Magician's Guild by Trudi Canavan, which is part of the Black Magician Trilogy. I picked up this book when I wanted to read stuff that was like Arcane, that had the divide between Piltover and Zorn, but in fantasy style, in a fantasy book. And this book was the first book I picked up, and it was absolutely perfect for that. You get so much about class, you get so much about pressure, you get so much about society, but yet the magic system's awesome, the characters are awesome, and the plot is full of dopamine hits. The best part about this is that it isn't one of those fantasy series that takes absolutely ages to get into. It is a trilogy, and shit just starts and kicks off from the very, very beginning. Would it be one of my videos if I didn't mention Brandon Sanderson? No, it wouldn't, because I have the Mistborn trilogy by Brandon Sanderson. This is the very first place I recommend starting in the Cosmere, and the first Mistborn book is genuinely one of the best books in the whole universe. This book is the perfect book for getting into fantasy reading. The plot starts immediately. You do have different characters that meet up within the first couple chapters, and that's your whole cohort. You don't need to have these multiple POVs that go across the whole book and then finally meet up at the end. Everything starts straight away. You're also placed in this world, which you have no idea what's going on, but you learn loads about it really quickly. So you don't get info dumped, but you don't get 200 pages in and still have no clue what's going on. It's really, really, really well written. I'm sure you could have all guessed what is coming next, and that is the Stormlight Archive by Brandon Sanderson. The Way of Kings is immense. It is one of the best books in the whole Cosmere. It gets you so enveloped within these characters straight away. It is a slow burn, but it's one of those books where the slow burn feels so natural because you're learning about the characters, you're learning about the plot, you're learning about the world, and there's so much you need to take in, so it doesn't feel like you're just wasting time. And epic fantasy is generally a genre where the books are really, really long. So if you can get through the first 1100 pages of the Stormlight Archive being in one book, you can get through anything. So there is 4 fantasy series that have bangers as the first books, because like I said, if you're getting into fantasy and you're getting into a fantasy series and people say, trust me, the first couple of books you just got to get through, but then it gets really good at like book 7, you're like so disheartened. The first book in each of these series is absolutely amazing. So if you want a fantasy series that you can get into straight away, pick up one of these 4.